How's it going, folks? I'm Des with DesFit, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about two great smartwatches, the Apple Watch Series 6 and the Garmin Venu 2. Both of these are fantastic devices, but there are some key differences between them that may make you want to choose one over the other, and I hope this video can help you figure out which one's going to be right for you. I already have in-depth reviews of both of these devices where I went into a lot of detail about how they perform in a sports and fitness capacity, and I'll have those videos linked down in the description below. This video is more about going over the differences between them, and I'll be covering three main areas: what they offer as a smartwatch, what they offer for health and fitness features, and what you can expect for battery life. So before we get into the differences in terms of features, let's quickly go over the hardware. For both the Apple Watch and the Venu 2, both of these come in two size options. So with the Apple Watch, you can get either a 40 or 44 millimeter version, and the Venu 2 comes in either a 40 or 45 millimeter version. I don't have the 40 millimeter version of the Apple Watch for a size comparison, so I do apologize for that, but it is nice to see that there's size options with both of these watches. The Venu 2 uses industry standard watch bands, so there's a huge variety of straps to choose from, and the Series 6, it uses special straps that are exclusive to Apple Watches, but there's still a huge variety of official as well as third-party straps, so you can customize the look and feel with either of these watches. The displays on both of these are gorgeous. You really can't go wrong with either of them. Both have always-on display modes, and with both, you can also disable the always-on display mode to get more battery life. However, the difference in battery life when we turn off the always-on display modes on these watches is very different, and we'll go over that when we talk about the battery life here in just one second. The touchscreens on both these devices are very predictable. The animations are all smooth, but I'd have to give a slight advantage to the Apple Watch here, where things are just a bit more organic and feel slightly more natural. Both of these watches have two buttons along with a touchscreen to interact with the device, but the Apple Watch also has the digital crown, which adds another way of interacting with the watch. As a smartwatch, if you own an iPhone, the Series 6 does have a huge advantage here because Apple makes both the watch as well as the phone, so they're able to weave in some really tight integration between the two devices. Like for calls and text messages, those are just a very natural extension from your phone. With the Series 6, you have the ability to reply to text messages with predefined responses, emojis, you can write on the screen, and you can even use voice dictation. And you can also take calls on the watch itself using its onboard microphone and speaker. And there's also a massive amount of apps that you can download through the App Store to extend the functionality of your Apple Watch, and we'll circle back to that when we talk about the fitness capabilities of these watches. Oh, and before we get into the smartwatch capabilities of the Venu 2, if you are finding the information in this video useful, really quick, just do me a favor and hit that like button down below. It's a small little thing that you can do that'll help this video and the channel out quite a bit, and I appreciate it. For the Venu 2, it doesn't have the tight smartphone integration with an iPhone like an Apple Watch does, and that's just all due to Apple because they keep the call and text functionality locked down to the Apple ecosystem. Garmin definitely wants that functionality, it's just that Apple keeps that sort of stuff exclusive. However, the Venu 2 is going to be more flexible when it comes to your smartphone of choice, so you can use the Venu 2 with either an Android or an iPhone, and if you are using it with an Android phone, you will be able to reply to text responses using predefined responses that you'll set up in Garmin Connect. There is one rather large advantage with the Apple Watch with the option of getting an LTE or cellular model, which will allow you to take calls and text messages along with some other functionality without having to have your phone with you at all, and that's just something that's not currently available on the Venu 2. Again, Apple has been making phones for years, so they do have a big advantage here, but just note that it does require an additional monthly service cost through your cell carrier. For listening to music offline, as in being able to listen to music without your phone nearby, with the Venu 2, you can download music to the watch itself using Deezer, Spotify, as well as Amazon Music, and you can also load in your own purchased tracks. With the Series 6, if you want to download tracks to the watch itself for completely offline music listening, you can do so with Apple Music as well as Pandora, but unfortunately you currently can't do that with Spotify. However, with Spotify, you actually can stream music from your Spotify library if you're connected through Wi-Fi or cellular connection. You can also do that through Apple Music. For battery life with the Series 6, I was usually getting about a day to day and a half out of it before I had to charge it, but you can get up to 2 days out of it if you tweak some settings. However, I have heard of people that get less than a day with the Series 6. With the Venu 2, it's kind of a whole different story where I was usually getting a week out of it before I had to charge it. However, that was with the stock settings straight out of the box, and that is with the always-on display being disabled. If I enable the always-on display on the Venu 2, it gets up to 2 days of battery life, which is a little bit more even playing ground with the Series 6 at the 1 to 1.5 days. So the everyday battery life story is kind of interesting here, where with the Series 6, if you disable the always-on display, you can get more hours out of it. But with the Venu 2, if you're not using the always-on display, you can get multiple more days out of it. And then for GPS recording time, with the Series 6, you can get, I think, 6 to 7 hours of continuous GPS recording, and with the Venu 2, you can get up to 22 hours out of it. So if you're planning on doing an activity that's longer than 6 to 7 hours, the choice is probably pretty clear here. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get into the health and fitness aspects of these two devices. So on the health and wellness front, both have heart rate sensors, both have SpO2 sensors, both can do sleep tracking, but with the Series 6, it also does have the ability to take an ECG reading. For heart rate accuracy, we'll get into that in just a little bit when we talk about fitness and sports accuracy, but for sleep tracking, I think both of these watches do a pretty decent job, but the Venu 2 provides just more detail out of the box where it gives you a very comprehensive breakdown of your sleep stages. With the Series 6, the information is a lot more basic with the stock sleep tracking app, but there are a bunch of third-party apps that you can download through the App Store which provide a lot more detail. For the fitness features of these devices, I'm first going to start out with what these devices offer straight out of the box, and then I'll get to how you can extend that functionality with third-party apps. The Venu 2 comes with a pretty extensive list of workout profiles with everything from the normal stuff you'd expect like running, cycling, and gym activities like stair mill and the elliptical, and there's also outdoor recreation activities like skiing, snowboarding, as well as paddleboarding. The Series 6 also has a huge list of profiles to choose from, including a lot of what we just saw with the Venu 2. So for stuff like running and cycling, both the Series 6 and the Venu 2 provide all the stuff you'd expect like heart rate, calories burned, as well as distance if you're riding outdoors. And then with running, both provide cadence, but with the Venu 2, it also provides stride length. And then for swimming, both of these watches also provide quite a bit of data to pore over, and they can automatically track your laps, as well as automatically track your rest periods in between intervals, and both can also track heart rate in the water. But there's a few more tricks that the Venu 2 has up its sleeve. So with the Series 6, it does have that huge list of activity profiles, but a lot of these are just different workout names and they just collect the same basic stuff like heart rate and distance. But with the Venu 2, there's stuff like the downhill skiing profile, and with this profile, it tracks your heart rate and distance just like the downhill ski profile on the Series 6. But the big difference here is how this profile works and what kind of information it delivers. So with the Venu 2, along with your heart rate and distance, it also automatically breaks down the time spent in the chairlift, as well as your time going down the ski runs, and it breaks all this information down in Garmin Connect. However, there is one activity profile that the Venu 2 does not have, which the Series 6 does have, and that's going to be open water swimming. Now, that's the comparison of the fitness functionality and the activity profile straight out of the box, and the Venu 2 does have the upper hand here. However, with the Series 6, you can download a ton of apps through the App Store which can extend the functionality. For the most part, the stock workout app on the Series 6 does a good job, but the data that it collects can be more on the basic end of things. On the completely opposite end of the scale, there's an app called Work Outdoors, which provides tons of information, super detailed maps, and offers a lot of customization in terms of how the data is displayed on the watch itself when you're working out. With the stock workout app in the Series 6, it does have some customization where you can change out some of the data fields, but Work Outdoors is a whole different story where you're able to basically do anything you want. It's kind of nuts. And with the Venu 2, there's also a pretty good amount of customization, more than what you can get out of the stock workout app on the Series 6, but not quite as much as what you can get from Work Outdoors. So the Venu 2 is the first Garmin device to get their latest 4th generation Elevate heart rate sensor, and as you can see from this indoor bike ride, it was absolutely perfect compared to the external heart rate straps I was using as references, as well as the Series 6. So for this workout, things were perfect from both devices. But then let's take a look at some running examples, and here's where we can see some differences. So the top screenshot is from the Venu 2, and you can see for the most part, it did well, but it did have this spot right here where it tracked a little high, but it did get back in line rather quickly. And then the bottom screenshot is from the Series 6 on a different run. It did better overall for the majority of the run, but there's this strange thing that happens with heart rate sensors on Apple Watches where it takes about a minute for them to kind of wake up and start tracking. Overall, the heart rate sensors on both these devices are good sensors, but I have to give a slight edge to the Series 6 just because of the results I've seen from weight training, which is one of the hardest activities for these type of sensors to track accurately. So with the Venu 2, you can see that for the most part, it follows along the trends, but there were definitely portions where it wandered off track. Like here, it had a spike, and then it took about a minute before it tracked the fall in heart rate. From there, it did pretty well on these sets, and then for the high intensity intervals at the end, it was a bit slow to react in the sudden changes in heart rate. With the Series 6, things look closer, but you may notice that there's these little flat spots where the Series 6 isn't collecting any heart rate. And it did also have a slight spike here, but it did track the high intensity intervals at the end quite well. The difference between these sensors is that with the Series 6, it isn't necessarily collecting your heart rate every single second, and Apple is most likely doing this to conserve on energy with the heart rate sensor. But with the Venu 2, it is collecting your heart rate every single second. But at the end of the day, both these sensors are good sensors, and you can rely on either of these, but that was just more my super geeky analysis on what was going on with these devices. And then GPS accuracy is also interesting. So on this run, the total distances were all very close to each other, but the Series 6 was just a little bit less than the others. Nothing drastic, but just a smidge less. Why? Well, let's take a close look at the GPS tracks, which tells the story. So from a high level, things look good, but when we zoom in, especially over here on the lower left-hand portion of the map, this shows why the Series 6 may have come up a bit shorter than the other devices. Apple Watches have a tendency of rounding corners and not being as detailed in the GPS accuracy as other devices. The Series 6 does seem to perform better than other Apple Watches when it comes to this, but it's still just a little bit present. For guided workouts and coaching, Apple has Apple Fitness Plus, which is guided workouts that are put together pretty well, and there's a pretty large variety of workouts to choose from for lots of different types of activities. And the really nice thing about Apple Fitness Plus is that if you own an iPad or an Apple TV, the integration is pretty sweet, where you can watch the workout on a larger screen than just your iPhone, and your watch links up to it and shows your heart rate in real time. It's pretty slick. But these workouts are generally just workouts that you do at home and not necessarily coaching programs if you have specific goals in mind. And that's where with the Venu 2, it has Garmin Coach, where you can choose from plans for running and cycling, like plans for a 5K, 10K, or half marathon. And then for cycling, there's plans for training for specific distances or disciplines. But outside of those coaching plans, the Venu 2 does also offer plenty of workouts to choose from for a variety of different types of activities, but these workouts are done just on the watch itself. And this brings us to the last point I wanted to cover in this video, and that's going to be these smartphone apps. So with the Series 6, you have both the Health app as well as the Fitness app. With the Health app, this is where you can view your daily health metrics like your sleep, steps, as well as highlights of your workouts. But the strange thing about this here is that you actually can't click on these to view your workout details. That's where you have to hop over to the Fitness app, and here's where you can view all your workout details. Additionally, if you're using any third-party apps to track your workouts, then you could have another app to look at to see that information. But with Garmin Connect, it's all just built right in where it has everything, and I mean everything all right there. You can view your daily health information, sleep tracking, as well as your workouts, including all the details. So when it comes to these two smartwatches, it's kind of tough because there's some key differences that may make you want to choose one over the other, and I hope this video explains some of those differences. And I also have another video where I went over the differences between the Series 6 and the Garmin Fenix 6, which provides a little bit more additional information that you may want to check out. And I tried to cover as much information as possible in this video without this video being an hour long, but if you do have any additional information, feel free to chime in the comments section. And if this video did help you out at all, don't be shy about hitting that like button down below. And if you're interested in comparisons of sports devices just like this, make sure to subscribe to get notifications when those videos come out. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.